Good morning, grade 12s. Today we are doing the second lesson for team performance and conflict management. Today's lesson is all about team performance assessment. Right, so we said yesterday a team is a group of people that work together to achieve a common goal. Okay, so a team can be any number of people that work together on a project to achieve a common goal. Businesses are made up of different teams. I said this yesterday as well, right? So a management team, for example, quality circles, a financial team, a production team. There can be a marketing team in different departments, right? The business is divided up into kind of different departments, and each department has a different focus and different goals. And then obviously the business have an overall goal as well. So any business are made up of different teams. There's more than one different teams. So obviously it is very important for the success of the business that people can work together in a team. And all employees will form part of a team in one way or another. As an employee, you are part of one or other department, or you are part of a project that the business is launching for a specific reason. Okay, but it doesn't matter where you are, in which department you are working, you are forming part of at least one team. And as I said earlier, businesses will not achieve their goals unless employees are able to work together in their different teams. All right. Obviously, they work towards a common goal, and people need to cooperate and they need to work together. If there's conflict all the time and people cannot work together in a team, obviously that team is not going to be successful and the business is not going to be successful. The criteria for successful team performance, first of all, is interpersonal attitudes and behavior. Okay, so we are going to look now at what criteria are there? How do we measure whether teams can be successful or not? Okay, what kind of behavior do we expect of people when they form part of these teams in order to make those teams more successful? Right, so if we look at interpersonal attitudes and behavior, we expect all team members to have a positive attitude of support and motivation. All right, so we want all the team members to be positive about the project or whatever it is that we are busy working on in this team. To be positive of different ideas that is brought up by different team members, to be motivated to reach that goal, to support each other. We don't need a negative Nelly telling us all the time how this is not going to work and how that is a stupid idea. We have to be positive. It doesn't matter if we don't agree or we don't all going to have the same opinions always, but we must be positive and we must be supportive of one another. Right, sound interpersonal relationships will obviously ensure job satisfaction and increase productivity of the team. If you get along with the team members, other team members, obviously it is going to make the team more productive. We are not saying that everybody in this team have to be kind of BFF, best friends forever, but they at least have to tolerate each other and respect each other, so that they can work together as a team. So if the interpersonal relationship, the relationship between different team members are strained, they cannot really focus on doing their best, focusing on the task at hand. They're thinking about the whole time of how I don't like this guy, and I remember this guy said that to me last week, etc., etc. You cannot do your best work if there's friction between the different team members. All right, so working together and having a good relationship, a good professional relationship with other team members, the whole team can be more productive and get more work done. Members must also be committed and passionate towards achieving the common goal. So everybody in this team must be working equally hard. There's nothing like conflict creation. If one person feels that I must do all the work and this other person is just sitting there looking pretty, okay? All team members need to be committed. All of them needs to be dedicated and hardworking and passionate about what they are doing. And if everybody does their share and they work hard and they are committed, the team will achieve their goal. If one person is not bringing his side, one person is always late, one person doesn't really care, it is going to impact on everybody in this team and it's going to cause friction. Okay, people are not, it's going to cause hard feelings. Now, I'm not going to like it if I feel that I have to do more than what everybody else is doing. The team leader must also give credit to members for positive contributions. People like positive affirmation. All right. If somebody has come up with a good idea or somebody has done something really nice, give credit to that person. Tell him, yes, that was a good idea. That is an absolutely great idea. Don't just keep quiet and, okay, yes, we'll do that. Give credit where it is due. People like to feel valued and people are going to work even harder and be even more committed if they feel that they are being valued in this team. The second criteria that we are going to look at is shared values or mutual trust and support. It is very important that all team members show loyalty and respect towards each other. Remember, I said, we don't always have to agree. We don't always have to really love each other and be best friends forever. But we have to be loyal to the team. We are not going to go and talk about a team member behind his back to somebody else because that doesn't show loyalty. And we need to respect each other, even if we have different opinions. Now, there's ways to say nicely that I don't agree with you without ridiculing that person. So when we treat each other with respect, despite our differences, even if we're different religions, different cultures, different languages, it doesn't matter. Diversity is not a bad thing. But we have to show respect for each other. We're not going to ignore one of the people in our team because I don't agree with his opinion or with his sexual orientation or his culture or his religion. Okay, we need to set all of that aside. This is a professional environment. We show respect to each other when we talk to each other, when we deal with each other. We need to be respectful. We also need to show respect for the knowledge and skills of other members. All right, not everybody always knows everything. So sometimes it becomes necessary to say, yes, I didn't know that. You taught me something today. You're not going to, just because you don't like that person, pretend that that person knows nothing. Different people have different knowledge. They know different things. And they've got different skills. Not everybody has the same skills. So within a group, when we make these groups, obviously, sometimes it is good to have different people with different knowledge and different skills so that we help each other. All right, so we need to show respect. We can't pretend that I know everything and nobody else knows anything. If somebody else says something and it's something really knowledgeable, we need to accept. He's an expert in that field. He knows what he's talking about. We don't need to be negative about his opinion. Then, very important, perform team tasks with integrity. As I said, every person in this team needs to be committed and every single person takes responsibility for his task within this team. Once we obviously delegate tasks and everybody has a job of doing something, obviously each team member has to take responsibility for that which was given to him, and we have to meet deadlines. If one person in the team doesn't meet a deadline because he wasn't committed to his job and his job isn't done, that means that nobody else can eventually do their job. Now we're waiting for that one person because he didn't meet the deadline. All right. You guys know what it feels like sometimes to work in a group and one person kind of has to do everything and the other people don't meet deadlines and they don't do what they said they would. The whole team is going to suffer because of that. Okay, so have integrity, do the right thing. All right, mutual trust. If everybody does what is expected of them, the team is going to be successful. A team is only as strong as its weakest member. All right, so everybody must have integrity. Everybody must commit to the task and meet their deadlines so that the team can reach their goals. The next criteria for successful team performance is communication. A clear set of procedures for teamwork ensures that every team member understands his or her role. So in other words, once we have delegated tasks, it has to be very clear what each person's role is going to be, what each person's responsibility is going to be. So good communication can also result in quick decisions. Okay, very important here that when instructions are given, for example, that instructions are given clearly, that the person giving the instructions communicates openly and clearly in language that is understandable, and that the person receiving the instructions actually understand what is expected of him or her. When there's good communication and there's no misunderstandings, that can also result in decisions being made very quickly. Less explanations, less time to eliminate misunderstandings means that decisions can be made instantly, very quickly. Quality feedback can also improve the morale of the team. Okay, so if we want to motivate the team, we give them quality feedback. If there's criticism, make sure it is constructive criticism. And people want feedback. Where are we in terms of reaching our goal? What is expected of each person? We give feedback. That which we have done so far, has it been done well? How can we improve what we are doing so that people know whether they are on track or not? Honest discussions also lead to effective solutions. Okay, so obviously we are going to be honest. We are going to be constructive. Now, if we're telling somebody that we're not agreeing with them, we need to be constructive in our criticism, but we need to be honest. Then we're not going to lie to each other. One of those mutual kind of feelings or mutual moral things has to be honesty. We expect that people are honest always about their opinions, and we respect people's opinions, but we have to be honest. I'm not going to say that, yes, I think this will work, if actually I don't think it will work. Okay, continuous review of team progress. There must also be, as I said, we have to review what is happening. We have to provide feedback based on what is happening so that if we are going in the wrong direction, we can rectify those mistakes and act proactively. We cannot wait for months down the line when we do not reach our goal to try and find where it went wrong. Continuously, we must review the team progress, evaluate this team progress to make sure that our team members can fix what is wrong so that ultimately we can actually reach our target and we can reach our goals. The next criteria for successful team performance is cooperation or collaboration. It is important that clearly defined and realistic goals are set and that all members of the team know exactly what has to be accomplished. All right, so all your team members basically have to understand what that common goal is that they are working towards. And the goal that you set for the team must be realistic, clearly defined. It must set out a measurable goal. It's something that you can measure whether it has been reached or not, and it must be realistic. It must be a goal that is reachable, and then all team members must know exactly what they need to accomplish. All team members must take part in decision making. All right, so it's not a case of one person making the decision and just delegating. That kind of defies the purpose of a team. The whole idea of having a team is that they can have discussions in this team and eventually reach a decision together. What is very important is that all team members must cooperate as a unit. Team members cannot be working against each other. They are working together to reach a common goal. So they must be working together. They must cooperate with one another and not work against each other all the time. Very important also to cooperate with management to achieve the business objectives. Obviously, your senior management will know what the overall goal of the business is that they are trying to reach. It is important that your team members don't go against what management is expecting of them. because that it is also going to mean that they will not reach that business's objective. Okay, then once management has decided what that goal is communicated through to all the team members, and team members are expected to cooperate with management and not work against them all the time. We have to agree on methods to get the job done effectively without wasting too much time on conflict resolution. You will see we're going to look now at the different stages of team development, but it is important that people set aside their differences. We cannot waste half of a workday every day on sorting out conflict and differences of opinion. Obviously, everybody is entitled to their own opinion, but they have to be respectful of each other's opinions, and people are not always going to agree on everything, but ultimately the team members have to agree on what method they are going to use to get this job done, to reach their objective without wasting time on conflict resolution, without wasting time on any unnecessary things. If everybody knows what is expected of them and the method has been agreed upon and tasks can be delegated, everybody will work together and will cooperate in order to reach that mutual goal. There has to be a balance of skills and knowledge and experience that will help the team to achieve their objectives. As I said earlier, your team is not going to be made up of a homogeneous group of people. We want different kinds of people with different skills and different people with different knowledge, some people with more experience than others, some people that are experts in their field, because everybody comes with their knowledge and their skills and their experience, and they can give options or solutions from their perspective, and then obviously they will discuss this. Okay, and every person brings something different to the team, and when we add all of these things together, obviously that will help us to achieve our objectives. Now, people are not always going to be the same. Diversity helps us to think of creative solutions, and we combine the skills of different people. One person might know a lot about financing, the other person knows about marketing, the other person knows about production. So if we have a project that we are launching, obviously the money side of it is important. The person with financial skills will know, for example, whether the company has money to implement that project. The production guy will know if it is possible to produce this article within a given time frame. The marketing person will know what the target market is wanting. He will know how to advertise this project. Everybody comes with their skills and their knowledge, and if we combine this successfully, obviously our team can be successful and reach our objective. Very, very important that you are able to identify criteria for successful team performance from a given scenario. So you are going to be given a certain scenario, and you have to be able to identify which criteria for successful team performance the team in the scenario either have or don't have, which will help them to be successful or not. What are characteristics of successful teams? Now, what does a successful team look like? First of all, a successful team share a common goal because your team members are part of the process of setting goals for a group. So in other words, for a group to be successful, it requires for team members to participate in the decision-making process and for the team members to come up with their own goals. So they set their own goals. The goal cannot be something that management, for example, just gives to the team members and say, right, you need to achieve this. Where for team members, if you want your team members to buy into your suggestions, it is important that they feel that they are part of the decision making. So it helps if you allow team members to be a part of the goal setting. Now you ask them also, get their input with regard to the goals that they are trying to reach. Very important that there is a climate of mutual respect and trust and honesty. This will obviously decrease conflict. the more conflict there is in a team, the more time is wasted on resolving that conflict instead of working towards reaching your goal. So I said earlier, obviously, your team is made up out of different kinds of people with different cultures and religions and beliefs, but it is important that no matter how diverse your team is, that each member respects everybody else, and then that there's a feeling of trust and honesty within this team member. Now, they need to be able to work together. And for this, regardless of the feelings that they might have towards each other, they must respect each other while they are part of this team. Be professional. Very important to share a set of team values and implement group decisions. Okay, so when the group is formed, obviously we need to have a little discussion as to what is allowed and what is not allowed in this group. Okay, so for example, team values could include to give people an opportunity to finish their sentences and not to interrupt people while they are talking. Team values can be that it is important for team members to arrive at work on time. It can be anything there, that respect and honesty when you give your opinion, right? So you have to decide as a team, what are the values that that will be important for this team, and then you have to implement your group's decisions. So once you have decided on your decisions, you want every team member's buy-in into these decisions so that everybody works together to implement those decisions and reach their goals. Successful teams always have sound intra-team relations, which leads to job satisfaction. In other words, it means that there's a good relationship between different team members. As I said earlier, they don't have to be best friends and socialize outside of work necessarily. They don't even have to like each other very much outside of work. But while they are at work and while they are a member of this team, they need to respect one another, and there needs to be a good, professional, respectful relationship between team members so that they can actually focus on doing their job well. All right. Teams also value the contributions of individual members and reach consensus on differences. As I said, everybody is definitely not always going to agree on everything. Yeah, that never happens because people are different and they have different opinions. But in a team, when different individual members make contributions, they provide ideas, it is very important that we do not ridicule those ideas, that we discuss those ideas honestly and respectfully, and every team member has the feeling that he is valued. All right, we are not going to say that you are stupid, all of your ideas are stupid, you are not allowed to talk anymore, right? Every individual member's opinions are valued, and everybody is allowed to give their opinion and to provide possible solutions. And ultimately, the team will reach a consensus on the differences. Obviously, the team as a whole will decide which solution, for example, they are going to actually use. But we are not saying that one individual member's ideas are better than another person's ideas. All members' contributions are valued, and then we will obviously decide on a consensus to make the final decision. Team members also enjoy open communication, right? So they communicate with each other effectively so that we can deal with conflict immediately. Okay, remember, the team cannot reach their goal if they are wasting time unnecessarily on reducing conflict all the time. Now, if they have to deal with conflict 24/7, they don't actually have time to actually physically do their job and reach their goal. So the better communication, a successful team has effective communication, honest, open, professional communication, where people can share their ideas freely and where communication is done effectively. People giving instructions or giving clear instructions, and team members understand what is expected of them. There's good communication, which means that there's no misunderstanding, because misunderstanding, it inevitably is going to lead to conflict, and then we need to waste time to reduce that conflict or to resolve that conflict before we can actually move on and do our job and get to reach our objectives. In successful teams, Members are also accountable. In other words, all the team members are willing to take responsibility for their actions, and all team members know exactly what the time frame is for achieving their goals. In other words, very specific deadlines have been set, and team members take responsibility for reaching their objectives and for sticking to those deadlines and time frames. Team members also pay attention to the needs of individual team members. So although it is all about reaching the goals of the team, successful teams understand that teams are made up of different individual team members, and they look after the needs of individual team members. As I said earlier, all team members are valued. Okay, they are valued for their contributions. So we look after the needs of individual team members. Successful teams also creates an environment where different team members are given the opportunities to develop so that team members can grow and learn from the experience of working in a team. So as I said, also they look after the needs of the individual, and each individual team member is given the opportunity to develop as a person, to gain new skills and new knowledge. Okay, so team members also gain from their membership of this team. They can learn from this experience, and it makes them better at what they do. There must be regular reviews of team processes. We did mention this earlier as well. So in a successful team, we evaluate the team regularly to see how much progress they have made so that we can pick up if there should be a problem. Okay, so if there's a problem, we want to pick it up early on, and we're not just going to push through this problem and just carry on. When we do the evaluation, we do reviews, we look at what has been done so far, how close are we to reaching our objective, how much progress have we made, so that if there is a problem, we can pick it up and rectify it sooner rather than later. If we do not do these regular reviews, we are going to come to the end of our deadline and we will find that we are not reaching our objective because there was a problem that nobody picked up and that wasn't dealt with. So if we do regular reviews, obviously we can detect any mishaps that happened along the way, and we can fix it before it becomes a bigger problem. Also important to balance the necessary skills, knowledge, experience, and expertise to achieve in our objective. So in a successful team, they are able to balance the skills and knowledge of different team members so that we can ultimately achieve our goal. Right, if we look at the different stages of team development, this is also very, very important. The first stage is forming. Then we're going to look at storming. Third stage, norming. Then performing. And the last stage is adjourning. Right, very, very important that you must be able to identify the different stages of team development from given scenarios. So if you are given a scenario, you have to be able to identify which stage of team development the people is in that scenario. The first stage that we're going to look at is the forming stage. This is where different individual team members gather information and impressions about each other and the scope of the task and how to approach this task. So the group has basically just been formed. This is the first stage. So the group is just being formed. So different team members might not know each other all that well. So this is the stage where they get to know each other. Yeah, they gather information and impressions about each other. They form opinions about each other. They start understanding what the task is that they have to complete, and they start thinking of how to approach this task to reach their goals. At this stage, teams are comfortable and polite with each other. Okay, as I said, they don't know each other all this well. Okay, so they're still gathering information and creating their own impression about the other team members. So they are still very polite. Yeah, there's no conflict yet because it's basically a bunch of strangers. Okay, so they're still getting a feel for each other. and people focus on being busy with routines. All right, so they're busy organizing the team, busy deciding who is in charge of what, when are they going to meet each other. Okay, a lot of organizational admin that is being done during the forming stage. They haven't started sharing ideas and opinions yet. All right, so there's no conflict yet. They're very polite, very comfortable. They're still getting to know each other. They are settling in. The second stage of team development is called storming. Right, now, after the formation of the team, all teams go through a period of unease and conflict. All right, so now the politeness is all but out the window. They're starting to get to know each other. They've now been spending time with each other for a while, and now is when the conflict is going to start arising. Obviously, there's different ideas coming from different team members. Okay, so now they know what their task is, they've defined their task, and they know what the objective is that they are trying to reach. Now they are throwing around ideas as to what they are going to do in order to reach their objective. So different team members will obviously have different opinions, and they're going to be giving different ideas. And obviously everybody wants their ideas to sound like the better one, and everybody wants their idea to be chosen as the idea for implementation. So team members open up to each other and they confront each other's ideas and perspective. This is now where the conflict is going to start, because people are not always going to agree with each other. There's going to be conflicting opinions. So they're starting to confront each other just now and evaluating each other's ideas and perspective. So there's going to be a lot of arguments that is going to happen between different team members with obviously different opinions and different feelings about whatever is happening, and that might upset the team members. Also, there might be power struggles, okay, because now they need to find a hierarchy, right? So there has to be a team leader. There might be a bunch of strong personalities and everybody wants to be the team leader. Everybody has their own opinions, very diverse group with different kind of feelings and whatever. And that is going to create a lot of conflict. So arguments means that people are not always going to agree on everything. In some instances, the storming phase can be resolved very quickly. Okay, but in others, the team actually never leaves the stage. Okay, it obviously depends on how they deal with the conflict situation. If they have good strategies to deal with conflict, they can move on and they can go to the next phase of team development. But in other cases where the conflict is not dealt with effectively, the conflict can kind of stay as a constant thing. Many teams will fail during this stage because they focus so much on their disagreements and the different opinions that they actually cannot reach consensus, and they're not focusing on the task, and eventually they do not reach their objective as a result of the arguments and conflict. So this phase can become very destructive for the team and can have a negative impact on the team's performance, as I said, if they do not deal with the conflict effectively. If this conflict is allowed to just carry on unchecked and people are just disagreeing left, right, and center, and people are getting very negative and people's feelings are being hurt, obviously it is going to be very difficult for this team to move on and actually reach their objective. Things can spin out of control very quickly. This stage is, however, very necessary for the growth of the team. Okay, it's in an adversary kind of situation where you really, really see the true colors of people. All right, so it's very important that this conflict does happen. People must realize that they are not always going to agree on everything, but it is also very important that we go through this stage so that the team ultimately can emerge stronger on the other side, obviously if the conflict can be dealt with effectively. The third stage of team development is norming, okay, also called settling or reconciliation. Okay, more often than not, they refer to it as norming. At this stage, obviously, they've survived the storming stage. So team members come to an agreement now. The conflict is being set aside. The conflict has been resolved, and the team members can reach consensus. The roles and responsibilities are clear, and everybody accepts their roles and their responsibilities. So everybody is given a specific task that is their responsibility. So everybody accepts that responsibility of the delegated tasks, and everybody knows exactly what they are expected to do. Team members accept each other and set common goals and values for the team, right? So obviously they've survived the storming stage. They realize that people are different and people have differences in opinion, and that there's not necessarily a right opinion and a wrong opinion. They accept each other for who they are. They kind of agree to disagree, but then as a team, they set a common goal and they set those common values. All right. The processes, the working style, and the respect starts developing amongst members. Okay, as I said, they agree to disagree. They are different, but they have set their differences aside and they decide that they are going to work together as a team. They're going to cooperate with each other. They're going to have that mutual respect for each other regardless of their differences. They put all of that aside and they decide on what the goal is that they're trying to achieve, and everybody commits to that goal. So team members ultimately have the ambition to work for the success of the team. In the norming stage, it is no longer about the individual and what the individual wants. Now they're going to do their job for the good of the team. If the team wants to be successful and all the team members do want the team to be successful, then they realize that they have to put those differences aside and they have to start working together with one another so that their team ultimately can be successful. So at this stage, there might still be minor conflicts, but the commitment and the unity is strong. Right, so at this stage, they have learned how to deal with this conflict. So we're not saying everybody's going to agree 100% all the time and it's just going to be beautiful and happy ever after, right? That's not reality. But they have made a commitment and they are standing strong together as a team. They resolve whatever conflict does happen so that the team can move on and reach their goal. The next stage of team development is the performing stage. So this is the stage where actually they are starting to work together as a team so that they can reach their goal. So team members are aware of the strategies and aims of the team. They have decided what needs to be done in order to reach their goal, and everybody knows. It has been communicated to everybody. Everybody's clear on the plan of action that is going to be followed to reach their goal. Delegation of tasks has happened, and people are now doing their bit. Right, at this point, they have direction. As I said, everybody knows what they are supposed to do without too much interference from the leader. Okay, so as I said, tasks has been delegated at this point. Everybody knows what is expected of them, and they work without having to be checked on by the leader all the time. All right, so the leader kind of sets them free, and everybody knows what their role is and what their responsibilities are, and people now literally start doing their job in order to meet their deadlines. So processes and structures are set. The delegation has happened. Okay, people are aware of what they're supposed to do, and all that the leader now has to do is just oversee the processes and procedures. As I said, people are aware of what is needing to happen, and as a successful team, every team member will do what he needs to do, take responsibility for his own job, and then the leader can just oversee the process and the procedures, just check up every now and then if anybody needs anything, just to kind of a check-in. He doesn't have to check up on people every single time, every single day. He oversees the whole process, but he trusts that people are going to do what they are supposed to do. All team members are competent, so they know what they are supposed to be doing. They know what their job is. They are autonomous. In other words, they can work on their own. They don't need to be checked on all the time. And they're able to handle the decision-making process without supervision kind of 24/7. They are able to do their jobs well, and they can work on their own. They don't need the team leader to stand behind them and motivate them to do their job. Differences amongst members are appreciated, and it is used to enhance the team's performance. So during the performing stage, these differences between team members no longer leads to conflict. People appreciate, your team members appreciate each other's differences, and they use these differences to make the team better, to make them perform better, because different people comes with different skills and different knowledge, and they use all these different skills and knowledge to make this team more successful. The last stage of team development is the adjourning or the mourning stage, right? Here the focus is on completing the task and then the ending of the project. All right. So obviously at the end of the task, when the task has been completed, there is no reason for this team to continue existing if they have reached their goal and the project now comes to an end. The problem with the last stage is that it might be traumatic for some team members to break up this team, okay, because they might find it hard to perform as individuals again. They now are used to working together with the other team members. They are used to working as a team, and it might take them a while to get used to working by themselves again. All right. So during this stage, obviously before the end of this stage can be reached, the task actually has to be completed. We can't just dissolve the team in the middle of the project. The adjourning stage can only happen right at the end when the task was completed, when their goal was reached. Only then can the team be dissolved. Right, if we just quickly talk about the team dynamics theories, okay, we say team dynamics is the way in which different team members work together. We said there's different kinds of people, different personalities that we are now going to throw into one team. So the way in which those team members interact with each other, that is team dynamics. And there's been lots of different theories. There's been lots of people that have researched thousands of teams, and they've come up with different factors that influence team dynamics. So what makes some teams more successful than others? Which kinds of personalities interact well with other types of personalities? All right. The team dynamics theories themselves, you have dealt with that in grade 11. That is not within the scope of what we are doing in grade 12. Okay, so you can think back to all the different theories that you did in grade 11. Right, there's different theories about different personalities, and some people being extroverts and some people being introverts, and how those people interact with each other. And within a team, we are bringing together all those different personalities, and that creates that team dynamics. That will influence how those different team members are working together or are unable to work together. Right, the importance of team dynamic theories in improving team performance. So why is it important that we take note of these different team dynamic theories? Why do we take note of the different ways that people can interact with each other? All right. First of all, your team dynamic theories explains how effective teams work. We want our teams to be successful. So if we understand the different team dynamic theories, we can make sure that when we comprise our team, when we put together our team, that we combine the right kind of people to make our teams more effective and to make them successful. Businesses are also able to allocate tasks according to the roles of the team members. So if we understand those team dynamic theories about, for example, some people being extroverted, some people being introverted, if we understand that some of our team members are introverted, we are not going to give that introverted person a task to perform that is going to put him in an uncomfortable position. If we know the types of personalities in our groups, we can allocate roles according to people's personalities, and that is going to give us the bigger chance of actually being successful. If we allocate a task to a person that we know will suit his personality and his capabilities, he's going to be able to do it, and that is ultimately going to mean that our teams are going to be successful. Team members can maximize their performance, as I said, because we are allocating tasks according to their abilities, their personalities, their strengths. If we understand different personalities, we can understand that a person is going to perform better if we give him a task that will suit his personality and his abilities and his strengths. We are not going to give him something that he is very weak in, okay? But we need to understand the different personalities in order to do this. Team members with similar strengths may compete for team tasks or responsibilities that best suit their abilities or competencies. So sometimes we have more than one strong personality in our team, and then those strong personalities in our team, they will compete for those team tasks or responsibilities. Everybody that is in this team is going to want to be allocated a task that suits their strengths, that they feel they can really do well. It's not nice to be given a task that you feel incompetent. You feel, yes, like I can't do this. All right. If I, for example, have to go now stand on a netball court and I have to I have to be the judge or the whatever, referee for this game. I don't know the rules. I'm going to be completely out of my depth. Now, I won't be able to do my job very well. Whereas if there's another person that have the competency to do that, it's better to allocate that task to that person because he's able to perform better. All right. People don't like to feel incompetent. We give people tasks to perform that they feel they can perform really well. All right. But we need to know what their competencies are so that we can do this. Theories can also assist team leaders to understand the personality types of team members. Okay, so as I said, we need to know the personality types. We need to know who's introverted. We need to know who's extroverted. And this is where these theories are going to come in and help us. The team leader needs to understand these different theories. He needs to make a study of these different theories so that he can identify in his team who the different personalities are, and he can delegate his tasks in accordance to that. We can also minimize conflict when we do this, okay? When different team members perform different roles and everybody's not trying to do the same thing, we can also minimize conflict between different personalities if we have identified these personalities and we can manage these personalities better to eliminate this conflict.